Welcome to Rebel Chaser. My name is Gail. I've got a video for you from Judge Prill, and this mom is devious. I'll let you guys watch.
Matter of Cherish Malzoff versus Brian Talaski Sr., 237575DM. This time and date set for show cause regarding alleged contempt proceedings against Ms. Malzoff filed by Mr. Talaski. The parties are present. Would you both please raise your right hands?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
All right, thank you. Before we proceed in this matter, again, I'm just cautioning both parties, please don't mention the child's name. Initials are appropriate, but please don't mention the child's name. And let's hear from the friend of the court. Mr. Holdwick.
Your Honor, currently the parties share joint legal, joint physical custody. My understanding is that the defendant has alternating weekends of parenting time during the school year from Wednesdays after school, or 3 if there is no school, until Monday morning when school begins, or 10 o'clock if there is no school. The front of the court had received, I guess let me back up here. The front of the court office on January 17th received a phone call from Ms. Malzoff informing that she would pick the minor child up from school. There have been some issues of the child going to Mr. Talaski's. She was informed by the front of the court office that any violation of the court order could result in enforcement if we were to receive a written complaint for denied parenting time, and that we must enforce the court order as it's currently written. She stated that she did understand that there were safety concerns or well-being, she could contact protective services. Also, upon that conversation with the front of the court office, she was emailed a parenting time motion, fee waiver, and filing instructions. And if she wished to file a motion in the court, she could do so. As stated, that was on January 17th. After that phone call at the front of the court office, the front of the court office did receive 2 denied parenting time complaints from Mr. Talaski, dated January 30th was one. Both of them were January 30th for 2 separate weekends. So the show cause was scheduled for an alleged violation of denied parenting time for the weekends of January 17th and January 30th, as well as not communicating an emergency with Mr. Talaski involving the child.
Okay, before you have a seat, Mr. Holdwick. So when this phone call was received on January 17th, are you stating that Ms. Malzoff stated that she was taking the child or picking up the child?
My understanding is that she had concerns sending the child for parenting time. She picked the child up from school.
And that's presuming, obviously, it was dad's time on the 17th.
I would, based off of the complaint, that's what I would guess as well, or assume as well, based off of the order and the complaint.
Have you heard anything from Child Protective Services or anything relative to any safety concerns?
Review this, Your Honor. I'm not aware of any protective services involvement. Yeah, and Ms. Schultz is confirming that we're not aware that we've received any requests for information from protective services.
And the reason I asked the question, and either you or Ms. Schultz can correct me, but if there's some serious emergency issue regarding a child going to another parent and Child Protective Services gets involved, isn't it true that on when you have significant matters like that, most times Child Protective Services will contact the front of the court office?
They will contact the front of the court office. Any investigation, they'll contact us.
Any
requesting what court orders exist or copies of them. Serious inquiries, they will contact us and speak with one of us to state concerns or maybe an interim arrangement, safety plan, things of that nature. Does not change the court order if a written complaint is brought based off of that, but they do contact us if there are significant issues.
And as you stated, there's been no contact.
To our knowledge, we've not been contacted.
Either situation, if they're looking for parenting time orders or for emergency.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Talaski, what's going on here, sir?
On January 17th, Your Honor, there was a tournament, a hockey tournament, and it was in Notre Dame, Indiana. The Cherish had asked me on January 5th if Ethan could be registered to go, and I did tell her that we had plans, or I had a birthday party planned for my younger son, T, and that he would not be going. She's harassed me about letting E go and putting E in the middle, having him call me, try to negotiate something with me. But I was adamant that we had a birthday party planned for T, and that wasn't possible.
That was your time, correct?
Yes, sir.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we address this hockey issue before?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And I know it may sound cold to individuals who may not have to deal with custody or parenting time orders. A child may have an interest in a particular field. It could be 4-H, it could be farming, it could be a job, it could be sports, it could be anything like that. But when the child's with the other parent during that parent's either custodial or parenting time, that parent controls what happens.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And that's what you're relying upon here, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're alleging not only did you see the child at all on the weekend of the 17th?
I did have him the 15th and 16th, and then when I went to pick him up.
Were you supposed to have him the 15th and 16th?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay. Oh, pick him up from school.
Yes, sir.
And did you see the child the weekend you're supposed to have the child?
No, sir, Your Honor. I had T, but not E.
Okay. What about the 30th?
The 30th, I supplied the school with the divorce decree and then highlighted all my days. And E was supposed to go to the office because I was afraid of this happening again. But when I went to the school to get E on the 30th, he had gone out the back of the school. And then Cherish had taken custody of him then.
So you're saying that the child was with mother that weekend as well?
Well, that Wednesday on the 30th, E was with her. I did, however, pick T up. And then on the 31st, I had my daughter pick E up 15 minutes prior to him being dismissed. So that couldn't happen again because she had planned on taking E on the 31st too.
31st would have been a Thursday or Friday?
Thursday, I believe, Your Honor.
Friday. Okay. So for the second weekend, you're not alleging that you missed the whole weekend. How many days did you claim?
1 day, Your Honor.
1 day. I saw Mr. Holbrook spring up all of a sudden.
Yeah, just for the record, Your Honor, looking at the complaints and looking at the calendar, regarding child E, it's between the 2 weekends, I believe it's a total of 4 overnight.
Total of 4? Okay. Anything else you want to tell me before I go to?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So, Ms. Mausoff, how do you respond to this?
Contrary to the allegations that Ryan is making, my actions have always been for the best interest of both children. The last time we were in court was October 4th, and I explained to everybody then that Ethan's mental health, he was not in a good, he was not in a good place. Emotional breakdowns, he started doing poorly in school. And from October to January, it had gotten worse. He talked about himself feeling trapped when he was at his dad's, not wanting to anymore.
So with that in mind, if that is true, then why did you not file a motion for change of custody and or parenting time?
Well, I tried therapy first. And when I did tried to talk to Brian about it, and I didn't get anywhere then. And so as far as that weekend goes, on Monday, took it upon himself to call Brian. And
We're not going to go on what the child.
okay,
I'm talking about your actions.
okay,
Let's just talk about your actions.
okay,
So you're alleging mental health concerns.
yes,
Okay. So the proper way of doing that is to file a motion with the court
mhm,
and not defy court orders.
mhm,
You defied a court order. What's attached to this is the app close information, which indicates E called me from, this is from you, E called me from school, pleaded for me to pick him up. He begged you to let him go, referring to this hockey tournament.
mhm.
So, and then you put in mental health part here, but it was his dad's time though, right?
Which has since been made up. That weekend was made up.
That's not true, Your Honor.
It is true.
Whoa, wait a second. Wait a second. We'll address that in a moment.
Okay.
We'll address it in a moment. But you read, Miss, the notice that lists the possible consequences for violation of court orders?
On that day, I was stuck.
No, I'm asking you, when you received your notice from the friend of the court's office regarding today's show cause, did you review that?
I did.
Okay. And did you review the possible consequences if you're found in contempt?
I did.
Okay. Well, I'm finding you in contempt because a couple things. Number one, the court order clearly establishes what the parenting time, custodial time schedule is. That's one. Number two, when it comes to serious issues, and you know, I'm always going to have one parent say, well, there's a serious mental health issue. The other one's going to say, no, that's not the case. That's what I'm presuming here. There's nothing from a psychologist, psychiatrist, counselor, therapist to indicate that there's an issue. I'm not doubting you, but I don't know that yet unless I have information from the horse's mouth, so to speak, regarding that. And as a result, I find you in contempt for failing to follow the court order on those weekends. I may add as well, by calling the friend of the court, telling them that you were going to do this, clearly shows that you had the intent to do this early on. And I find bad faith as a result of that as well. Is there anything you'd like to say before the court imposes disposition on this?
Yes, that week he started having panic attacks at school. I had to go pick him up Tuesday, the 14th, to go get him from school. He's having chest pain, shortness of breath. He did not want to go to his dad's. I got a text message from the school counselor that day. She was checking in on him because he has been seeing her regularly.
Okay, this has nothing to do with, is there anything you'd like the court?
This is why I made my decision on Friday to pick him up.
Why, I understand that, but you did this on bad faith, as far as the court's concerned. And as a result of that, the proper method is if there's a mental health concern, file a motion with the court. Ask the court to suspend parenting time, for instance. That's not been done. You just did it upon yourself. And that's not proper. Just a moment. Court is going to order a sanction in the amount of $250 payable to the friend of the court, as this was done in bad faith. The proper method, again, is to file the motion. When you take the law into your own hands, there are consequences for that. Now, you're claiming that 4 days have already been made up?
The three, the
Well,
kids,
according to the friend of the court, it'd be 4 overnights.
they spent an overnight December 20th, February 8th, and February 9th.
What dates again?
December 20th, February 8th, and February 9th.
Just a moment.
Honor.
Yes.
Those are the dates. I don't believe the December one would necessarily count.
It doesn't.
After the fact.
It doesn't.
But the other two dates, if those indeed were made up, that would be 2. So my calculations, I'm getting 3 overnights for the weekend of January 17th. And then I'm getting 1 overnight for the overnight of January 30th.
That's where I'm getting it to. Okay. So Miss, February 8th and February 9th, were those your times?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any documentation or anything to indicate that you had this sort of agreement with Mr. Tulaski?
Just our conversations on app close.
Okay. So you have them with you?
I don't know if I have the conversations from that particular weekend.
When do you claim you made this arrangement?
So the tournament weekend would have been the 17th, so it was right after that. He would have had them the following weekend. And then he had them both weekends in February, the first 2 weekends of February.
Okay, well, so are you saying you did this on the 17th? Had the conversation on the 17th?
We had a conversation the week prior to the 17th. He said that Ethan E could go that weekend if I gave him every other week in February, because the children are often used as bargaining chips. And
okay, well, I want to
yes,
get to,
so
I just want to get
that
to your.
didn't work. That didn't work for me, giving up every other week.
Oh,
So
all right,
then
Miss, you're
after the 17th,
excuse me,
yes.
please, you're getting off the beaten path here. I'm trying to figure out when you had conversation with Mr. Tulaski about February 8th and 9th.
It would have been right after that weekend then, because the first suggestion didn't work for me.
And at the 18th. I don't see that map close, but it may not have been provided to begin with. Sir, did you have the child on February 8th and February 9th?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. But that was to enable her to take Ethan to a tournament the following week on my weekend. So she provided me both E and T on her weekend. Yes, sir.
So did you have your weekend the next weekend?
I still had my weekend. T went with her to a tournament and excuse me.
Tournament.
Right. E went with her to a tournament on my weekend, and
So you lost that whole weekend?
just with T. Or just with E, I'm sorry.
That makes more sense.
Okay. But that had nothing to do with the dates in question.
Yes, please.
Looking at the calendar, Your Honor, what I'm hearing is that the parties agreed to switch the weekend of February 7th and 8th for the weekend of February 14th and 15th.
Yes.
Court finds it's not been made up. 4 overnights will be ordered within the next 6 months, according to the friend of the court policy. Now, before we move on from this, and by the way, that $250 needs to be paid by April 4th. Before we leave, first, I'm glad to hear no one was injured in the traffic crash, according to my review of the file. But I want to make sure this is not on the screen. Sir, can you see that?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Who's in the picture?
That would be my son, T.
Is that a proper way to restrain the child?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Don't let it happen again.
Could I explain myself, Your Honor?
No, I just said, please don't let it happen again.
Okay.
That's it. It appears to be on a roadway. There's brake lights on.
It is pulling out of the parking lot at the school. And she did send me that picture, and I did send her the explanation behind it. And he was, before we reached 53, back in his seatbelt.
He needs to be in the seatbelt anytime the vehicle's moving.
He does from time to time like to slip out of them, as all kids. And my saying when I put the boys in the vehicle is buckle up, Chuck. So they do tend to want to holler out the window at their friends, but I will put a stop to that.
Thank you. Lock the back window so it doesn't open.
It is, Your Honor.
The child needs to be restrained. I don't want to see that happen again.
Okay.
Best interest of your children. That'll be all. Thank you.
Can I do something, Your Honor?
Yes.
In regards to his second motion that he filed for the 29th, I had gotten a phone call from CPS on
Wait, what second motion are you referring to?
when I picked E up from school on the 29th. He says it was the 30th, but it was the 29th.
It's not a second motion, just the second motion.
Oh, the second weekend?
It was the one night. I had gotten a phone call on the 24th from CPS saying that there was an open investigation against Brian. And I met with them on the 28th, and they told me what the allegations were. And part of the safety plan was to keep doing what I was doing and just.
Okay, but where is the CPS worker to testify to that? You have to have the CPS worker here. That's hearsay. That's
Okay.
If there's a safety issue, bring your witnesses with you.
Okay.
You have to, because otherwise it's hearsay and the court can't hear it. Just like if the child says, I don't want to go to dad's or I don't want to go to mom's.
I was just abiding by what we discussed when I picked them up on the 29th.
Okay, but that's your position on it. I have to hear it from the horse's mouth.
I know her report was not going to be done by today. So.
Okay. We'll continue to follow up with it. And if there's any issue, the court will probably see that down the road then. Good luck.
Your Honor, I did file a motion with friend of the court about her not reporting to me that Ethan was in a car accident.
That was also attached to today's.
Okay, I did see that. I did see that. Did the child have to be hospitalized?
No.
Do you think it'd be a good idea in the future, if there's an issue regarding the child, to keep dad or vice versa, to keep you in the loop?
We need to work on our communication issues because anything that is said to Mr. Tlaski is twisted around and used against me.
Well, I'm not here to judge that at this point, but what I'm here to consider is if there's any issue with the child that's of any significance.
There's no issue.
Please hear me out. If there's any significant issue regarding the child, and I did see the photograph of what appears to be a bruise due to a seatbelt. Thank God, there's another example of why seatbelts are so important for young folks like that. If the shoe were on the other foot, as a parent, I would feel very concerned as well. So if there's anything significant regarding the children in any way, shape, or form, it takes 2 seconds to get on app close and say, this is what happened. Because take it, just for instance, and hypothetically speaking, not each of you, but if I and my bride had a child in common, ex-bride, in my example, though I'm not divorced, but I get the child back and I see a huge bruise on the backside, front side of the child, wherever the bruise may be, and I haven't heard from the parent, the other parent who had the child during that time frame, I'd be extremely concerned. And so you're right, the parties have to communicate better, and that's why app close is so important. It just takes 2 seconds. We're involved in a traffic crash. There will be a bruise on him due to the traffic crash because of the seatbelt. No medical treatment was sought. He's fine. He was evaluated, whatever the case may be, and then there's no arguing about it because you let him know. Vice versa, you would let her know in the same situation.
Absolutely.
So that's how I treat that motion. You have to communicate. And it doesn't need to be twisted, turned around against anyone. It's the best interest of these children. That's what it comes down to. We're done on this issue. Good luck.
Mom is a sneaky little thing, isn't she? She knew all along, she planned all along to sneak her son out the back of the school. That's why she called the friend of the court to let them know. But she planned to sneak him out the back of the school, knowing full well that Dad would be waiting in the front. And Dad's son, the son, never shows up. Mom was playing games, and that's cruel to do to Dad, to not tell him that you have his son. That's really cruel. The panic attacks that son was having. I believe it is a son who is trying to get his way, and he's going to do whatever he has to get his way. But if that's not the case, and he is showing signs of chest pains and shortness of breath, the last place you want to take him is a hockey tournament. The first place you want to go is a doctor's office. She should have had him to a doctor right away to make sure he wasn't having a heart attack, or God forbid, there wasn't something else going on, like, a cancer. He should not have gone to the tournament because, for one, he was playing you, or he was having heart problems. Either way, he shouldn't have gone to the tournament. That's my opinion. The CPS, I have a feeling Mom is the one that called CPS because, as a friend of the court person said, that they told her if there's some issue, she could call CPS. Oh, and then all of a sudden, she's getting a call from CPS. Isn't that strange? Mom's the one that called CPS. That's what I think. Because maybe Dad didn't take the panic attack as seriously as Mom and the son wanted him to. That's my opinion. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.